Hi guys, Vulture Rider here. So I've recently done some maintenance on my bike. If you've been following my channel and watching my videos, thank you. And you will know that I've had a problem with my rear brake sticking on my dero 1000. Turned out the problem was the left hand front disc. The caliper was all dirty. So I took the caliper off, pushed the pistons out as far as they would go, give them a really good clean with some washing up liquid and a toothbrush, coated them in rubber grease, and then I've done the same to the right hand caliper and the rear caliper, made sure everything was working well, replaced the master cylinder on the actual left hand caliper as well, and also replaced the rear disc. And when I did that, glad to report that that's all worked fine now. The brakes are working lovely. I've bled them properly. They're not sticking, they're not binding at all, the brakes aren't getting hot, and everything's hunky-dory. So when I did that, I did say to you that I would provide you a rundown of costs. So that's what I'm going to do today, just a brief video. So firstly, the total in parts was £528.99. And that was spread over a period of around 2.5, possibly 3 months, because I started buying some of the parts because I knew I would have to do this job before I actually started it. I'd try and get all the parts first so that I don't have to wait when I've got the bike stripped down. The only thing that messed me up slightly was the rear shock, because that was an unexpected issue. So yes, parts was £528.89, and I got all my parts from eBay, so I didn't pay postage on any of them. I always try and go for websites that have, as far as I can tell, a reputable reputation, and also that give you free postal packaging, especially when you're spending over sort of 10-15 quid. I would expect free postage. So just briefly, I'm going to run down. So copper grease, £3.50. I replaced the rear brake light switch because that became faulty. That was £9.95. Heat wrap for the exhaust. I did some heat wrap around the downpipe and around a couple of the joins, because the joins keep leaking on this bike, is one of the ongoing problems with it. £6.66. The rear shock itself was £299. Well, basically 300 quid, bar a penny. And then it was an extra £55 to have the spring uprated for my weight, a passenger's weight, and a bit of luggage. And I must admit that spring is brilliant now. It's a lot thicker than the original, and the ride is nice and firm and not so bouncy. That's really, really good. The rear disc itself, I bought an EBC disc again off of eBay, and that was £83.12. Brake fluid was £7.95. 2 cans of brake cleaner were £5.99. The brake caliper nipples, I bought 4 nipples to replace some old ones that looked a bit rounded. That was £9.50. The brake caliper, the master cylinder on the left hand front brake caliper, that was £22.90. And I also bought EBC sintered pads for the rear brake, and they were £24.99. So it comes to a grand total of £528.89, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that bad, considering I put a shock absorber on as well. So a genuine shock absorber for my bike is over £1,000, a Honda one. Also, the rear the rear disc brake itself is over £250 for my bike. So in itself, I've already saved half of that just by buying patent parts. And I have said before, I haven't got a problem with patent parts. They seem to be as good as most genuine parts. And most of the patent parts I buy are serviceable items like brake pads, spark plugs, things like that, air filters. So 9 times out of 10, I've had no problems with fitment. They seem to fit fine, and they seem to last as long as the originals, considering most of the things I buy wear out fairly quickly because I use the bike every day. So the other thing I wanted to talk about as well was man hours. Now, when I totted it up, I spent around 12 hours on it, and that includes the odd little test ride, taking the brake calipers off a couple of times to clean them, removing the back wheel, taking the rear caliper off, doing the rear brake light switch, doing the exhaust wrap, replacing the rear disc, which again I've done a video of. So it was a fairly comprehensive bit of maintenance, and all in all it was a good 12 hours by the time I totted up the time. Now bear in mind, a qualified mechanic in a bike shop probably wouldn't take that long to do all those jobs. I did ring up a couple of places, on average I got told about an hour and a half, 2 hours to replace, to clean and replace the brake pads on the front, an hour to do the brake pads on the back. But if I'd have put it in the garage and not been able to solve the brake problem, they would have went through the same process that I went through, where they would have taken all the calipers off, checked the pistons in the calipers, drained the brake fluid, put new brake fluid in. So they would have spent a good, I reckon, around 5 hours. Now, if you think I spent 12 hours just doing that maintenance, the average price I was quoted was £60 an hour. That wasn't by main dealers, that was by local motorcycle shops. I'm not going to mention any names because there's no need, but the lowest rate I got quoted was £60 an hour. The highest rate I got quoted was £85 an hour. So if we base my 12 hours on £60 an hour, is 720 quid. Now, I'm not saying again that a qualified mechanic would have taken that long to solve that problem, and maybe they wouldn't have gone through the same process as me of finding the problem in the first place. But even if you have that and say 6 hours, that's still a fair old chunk of money. You know, that would be 360 quid, £60 an hour. So I'm really pleased I put the time and effort in. And so that was a little rundown of what I did, the parts I used and how much it cost. And I would say, if you use eBay, I had a couple of incidences where I ordered the rear shock, and I ordered it from 2 different companies which said they were UK suppliers, and they weren't. One shipped the shock in from Germany, so I would have had an import tax. That company was quite good, and they did advise me, and they give me an instant refund when I said I didn't want to pay import tax. Then there was another company that used an Italian firm. They did email me to say that there would be import tax, but once they did that, they didn't give me a refund until I opened the case with eBay, and then I got a refund straight away. But that did take 2 weeks. So they were a bit crafty. What they did, they sent me an email saying, do you realise there would be import tax? To which I replied no, because I thought it was a UK supplier. Then they said, okay, no problem, we'll refund you within the next 48 hours. Obviously 48 hours went, I didn't get a refund. So I emailed the company again, said, hi, it's been over 48 hours, where's my refund? Then they sent me an automatic email saying you will be refunded within 48 hours. I thought, okay, I'll let that go again, which I did. But in the meantime, they said that the parcel had been dispatched. So after the second time of not receiving an receiving a refund, I contacted eBay, and they said they couldn't open a case until the dispatch date had been and gone, just in case they did actually send it. So in the meantime, I sent another email to the company saying that I've opened a case against them through eBay, and that I will be leaving a review relevant to the response I get from them. And within about 5 days, I had my full refund. But it was annoying that I had to push it to get the refund. And that's the first time I've ever had difficulty like that. But I did get my full refund in the end, so that wasn't a problem. And then I found a good company in Yorkshire that supplied the shock absorber, and they do the uprated shock for that extra bit of money. First of all, I wasn't going to do it, but as I state many times in my videos, my bike's very heavy. So I thought, let's go for the uprated shock for my weight, passenger's weight, and a bit of luggage, and it's worked lovely. Anyway guys, thank you for watching my videos. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more, and the more people I can get to subscribe, the better equipment I can buy eventually and do better videos. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.